So we're recording this session so that folks that do miss it are able to see it. It will be posted on the saministryresources.ca page under Family Services, where other webinars are posted. I look forward to posting this. If you haven't seen what's on there, please feel free to go to that website and see what's up there. We have a number of resources that will be helpful to you. I see a couple of chats. I'm just going to look at those before we begin. I don't have the camera set up. That's all right. As you can see, my camera's not working either. You just get that wonderful photo of me. No photo for me. No. I imagine you all have fun with your computers. I do. So Lotus Note stopped working for me. So I had to have it removed from my computer, reloaded, and when it got back on, my camera disappeared. So all you get is that wonderful photo of me for the rest of the session. So I do apologize. You don't get to see me live, but I'll certainly watch all of you very closely. Well, Val, I'm going to unmute you in a second here. Where did you go? And you are good to go. Valerie Pavey from the Children's Ministry Department, our consultant, going to be leading us through some outreach opportunities for children and youth today. And thank you, Val, for doing this. We've talked about it for a while, and now we've got you. So the session's yours. So
okay,
you can
great.
just click share your screen and you're good to go.
All right. Well, first of all, just thank you to everybody for inviting me into your week. And I have a little PowerPoint. I'm assuming you can all see it. If not, Peter will come in here and tell me. So I just wanted to spend a few minutes giving you some background information, the who, the what, and the where. Not working?
No, you need to go back
And see.
and then go to the
Here?
Zoom, yep. And then hit share.
Oh, I thought I
And
went
then
through that.
And then you pick your PowerPoint. There you go. Ta-da!
Ta-da. All right. See, I knew Peter would come help me out. So I just wanted to spend a bit of time with you talking about three programs that we have that we see as great partnerships between children and youth ministries and community and family services ministries. And so what I'm going to do with you is I'm going to look at each one of them. I'm going to give you just a basic overview. What are the goals of or objectives of that program? And then the where, the who, and the how, basically. And then at the end, we'll just spend a little bit of time looking at sort of like next steps. Where do we get the people to be a part of these programs, and how do we get the word out there to use those programs? So we're going to dive right in, starting with Baby Song. So Baby Song is an outreach program. It's for parents with their babies and their toddlers. The parents could be the dad or the mom, so just want to make sure that that is understood. So Baby Song began in the Salvation Army in Sweden. From there, it spread to Norway and Denmark, and it's gone around the world, and we also have it here in Canada. And Baby Song has been a successful program for reaching unchurched families, and it helps us to build relationships with them and to create fellowship. So, why do we do Baby Song? We do it for many reasons. We do it to create contact between people in our communities. We do it to break barriers and help people feel welcome coming into our church buildings or our ministry units. We do it to build relationships within our communities, to create an atmosphere that leads to conversations about life and about God, to give opportunity for fellowship, from adult to adult, from adult to child, and even from child to child. And then the program itself is, its strong points are to stimulate child's linguistic, musical, and motor skill development, to stimulate positive contact between the parent and the child, and also to give families a treasury of songs that they can take and use in their own homes as well. And what happens at Baby Song? So Baby Song provides outreach through the means of music. It's a program that can run for 8, 9, or 10 weeks. You can choose how long you'd want that to be. Also, you can choose to run it quarterly, or you could run it twice a year. It's also recommended that you would charge a nominal fee of, say, $40 for 8 weeks. And what that does, it gives a bit of funding to help with the costs that you might incur, but it also helps to create consistent participation in the program. If people have invested a bit of money, even though it's not huge funds, but it might be for some, it gives them a reason to continue to come and be a part of the group. And speaking of being a part of the group, we recommend a group size of about 15 families. And this can change depending on the size of facility that you have, what space do you have to run the program. It might be that you'd want to start with a smaller group, maybe even to start off for the first time, or maybe that's all you have the room for. Or it might be that you've got room for a lot more people and you have the volunteer base to help run a program to a larger group of parents. And the sessions are divided into 2 parts. So you have a music section and you have a fellowship time. And so for the music, it could run between 45 and 60 minutes. The music can be done without accompaniment if the leader feels as a comfortable singer, or you can choose to use guitar accompaniment, piano accompaniment. You could choose to set up a playlist on a mobile device, or you could even choose to use CDs and a CD player, depending on what you have available to you. The Baby Song resource book has recently been updated, but it suggests to you a meeting outline, what it should look like, how to get started. And it's the fellowship time is usually towards the end of the time together. Again, the time on that can vary. You could have that from being half an hour to being an hour, depending on how you want to use it. This time is to allow the parents to get to know each other, and depending on the age of the children, you know, if they're toddlers, to have an opportunity for them to play freely with age and developmentally appropriate toys. You may also wish to add into your baby song time a teaching component to the program by inviting either local parenting or health professionals to come in and present relevant workshops to the parents. And so those workshops could be anything from baby massage to first aid, to baby sign language, to scrapbooking, to whatever your group of parents feel they would benefit from, or even that you feel that you would benefit from, or from connections that you have within the community and you want to bring them in and to share their knowledge with the parents. And during this time, you may want to have some recruited volunteers to help provide childcare during this, so that the parents are able to kind of give their concentration to what's happening. The other thing about the baby song singing time, just a little background, is that it always begins and ends with the same pieces of music, the same songs. And this, we just do this to help kind of create a framework, because frameworks create a sense of security. People know what to expect. They know it's how it's going to begin. They know how it ends. It just kind of helps them to develop that feeling of being comfortable with you and your program. Where can baby song happen? Baby song, first of all, needs to be in a clean, baby-proof meeting space. And a meeting space could include a multi-purpose room in which the furniture can be moved off to the side. It could be in a room that can be sectioned off for both the music time and the fellowship time. It could be in a gym with kitchen facilities for, you know, prepping snack time. Or it could be in a community center or a rented space. But again, that could add to your cost, so that's something that you need to keep in mind when you're doing your planning and your brainstorming and how you see the program running for you. And then the how of baby song. The baby song resource book, that's the cover that's on that slide of the newly updated version. It is now a PDF download. You can download it for free from the SA Ministry Catalog, so saministrycatalog.ca. If you haven't been in there before, you should go in and check it out, see what other resources are there as well. You can also get access to the resource catalog through the salvationist.ca website. When you're on that website, you would look under core programs and then under children, and Baby Song is one of those programs under children. The download for Baby Song includes the resource book, it includes the songbook, it includes social media posts for both Facebook and Instagram. A couple of those you can add your own text to, modify to make them unique to your setting. Also includes invitation postcards that you can use to mail out, welcome cards that you can send or give to the parents who have registered. And the logo is also included in there in a few different formats so that you can use it to create your own advertisements or anything else that you might want to have associated with Baby Song and have that logo on to make it your own. The other thing about how is a team. So you're going to want to recruit a couple of helpers for the program. And you're going to want someone who can work alongside you to help set up, maybe prepare the snack for your fellowship time for you, individuals who will help you greet and support the parents. And we would encourage you, if possible, to try to recruit some people who are part of the church, because one of our goals would be to connect people to the church. So if there's a familiar face, if a family decides to come out for Sunday worship, or any other activities that the church might be hosting, then those ministry workers on your team can be watching out for your Baby Song families and be sure to greet them and to help them know and understand what's taking place at that point in time. So that's Baby Song in a nutshell. If there's any questions or anything you need me to clarify or go back to. Okay. All right, move on. So the next program that we want to talk about, REDCap. And I think there are a few people who are connected today who have done, oh, I'm REDCap. Have you muted me, Peter? No? Okay, I'm getting messages on my screen. I think there are a few people today who have actually done REDCap training, so you're already maybe a little bit familiar with you. Others, I don't think I've met you, so I'm assuming that you haven't heard about REDCap. And so REDCap is an outreach program for children. It originated at the River Street Community and Family Services a long time ago. Eventually, our department here at THQ, we hired a Salvationist school teacher who works and lives in the inner city of Toronto to take a look at the program, to work with those who had been using REDCap, and to rework the program into the format we have now. So REDCap, what it is, it's a club-style program for students who are in grades 3 to 6 or who are ages 8 to 12 years. And this program provides an opportunity to offer a skill that is needed by all of us, and that skill is anger management. And it's anger management for students for REDCap. And so some of the goals or objectives of this program is to provide a tool that will help students to automatically stop and positively deal with their anger and their other emotions that are under the surface of anger. Also to teach conflict resolution by putting those skills into practice, and also teaching self-discipline by having the young people learn to use the stoplight imagery. And you can see that there on your screen, the stoplight. So stop and calm down, to think of a plan, and to problem solve wisely. And we've broken the lessons up to fit into those 3 different areas of the stoplight. And also, the goal of REDCap is to build connections with the community. So in saying that, sort of an aside, REDCap is a Salvation Army program. It's not a program that we give to other agencies or even to the public schools to use and run. We train Salvation Army employees, Salvation Army volunteers to be facilitators of the program. And other groups can be a part of our teams, but we don't train them to run or to to own the program in their setting, okay? And so what happens at Red Cap? Meetings begin with a meal or a snack and directed conversations with the young people. Each lesson provides active teaching through the use of games, activities, role play is a big part of that. There's small group time and then simple worksheets. The lessons, as I mentioned, are built around the stoplight. So using the stoplight as a guide, students are going to learn to stop and calm down, think of a plan, and problem solve wisely. The topics that they're going to cover include body signals. How do I know I'm angry? What is physically happening? Uncovering my emotions. What are the emotions that I'm feeling before I get to anger? Because anger is the emotion that's easiest for us to demonstrate. Anger buttons. What are those things that do make us angry? Cool off choices. How can I get myself to pause and to think about what I'm feeling and how I'm going to respond? And then learning to communicate what I feel. So that is what this is what they're going to be learning over the 8-week program. So the program is 8 weeks, but it can be extended even up to 10 weeks if you feel the group needs to work on one of those topics a little bit more. That's a prerogative that you can have if you feel it's necessary. We recommend that you keep the group size to around 12 students. We want it to be a group size that you can manage and that you can know what the kids are grasping and understanding, and you're helping them dealing with emotions and other potentially sensitive issues. So you want to be able to make sure you're having a good connection with them. And if the group gets too large, there's the chance that you're not going to be meeting all of their needs. So the student group can be made up of students who will benefit from anger management, and also students who, or young people who are seen as potential peer leaders. Kids who can mentor other kids, either in groups that you're running at your church or if you're running this in a school program. Kids who can be mentors to other students around them. Where can you run Red Cap? That's a picture of Mad Max. He's teaching our kids about body signals, in case you're wondering who he is. So Red Cap can be run through your church or your ministry center. It can be run in a multi-purpose room, through in a gym space, if you have one at your church. Meeting rooms with an area for group activities. You need a little bit of space where the kids can move around. The material does also provide suggestions if you don't have a lot of space, activities that you can do that can be done in a tighter physical area. Boys and Girls Clubs locations. There are a few of our groups that have partnered with Boys and Girls Clubs. Community centers, I think I said that. So again, that's, that might end up being a rental that you might need to do. I know in Scarborough, they're partnering with a facility called The Hub, which is home for a lot of newer immigrants, and it's also a bit of a community center as well in that facility. So they go in there and run the program. And then it can be run in a school. So I know that Red Cap was originally created to be a lunch club program in the schools, but it does not have to be run in the school system. That is an option amongst all these others that you can choose to do. And if you're partnering with the school, you'd be meeting with the principal and arranging it with them. All right. That may bring up a few questions later. And how do we run Red Cap? So Red Cap is run by a trained facilitator. And the facilitators of the program, they receive the training through divisional headquarters. Typically, we partner with the divisional youth secretaries. They send out the invitations. Sometimes those dates are prompted by encouragement from community family services workers, from children and youth workers in the core setting. So don't feel free to prompt your divisional youth secretary and ask, when is there a training being planned for our division? You'd like to be a part of it. The facilitators then recruit and train their own team to work alongside them in the program. And for REDCap, we suggest a team of about 3 people. And although the facilitator is responsible for training their team, we have, when there has been space, invited the team to come and be a part of the facilitator training. So that way they're kind of getting a taste of absolutely everything that the facilitator is being presented with. The facilitator manual, that's a copy there on the screen, so you can just kind of see how it looks. It's a binder, and that binder is only available to trained facilitators. We don't sell that to anybody who just writes in and says, I want to be a part of this. You have to complete the training in order to receive that manual. And again, just be sure to contact your divisional youth secretary. You could probably even contact your area commander and ask them if they know about any upcoming training events that are being planned for your division. All right, so that is a quick overview of REDCap. Is there any questions that you have based on that?
73.
All right. Shall I move on to task? All right. So the next program we're going to be looking at is task. Task is a very new program. Over the years, we've received many requests for high school aged anger management. And so a couple of years ago, Kristen Jackson Dockery, who is a former school teacher and is now a Salvation Army officer, when she was stationed in Niagara Falls, they had been running REDCap program for years, but again, they were being asked for something for high school students. So she looked at REDCap. I think she also looked at a little bit of what the Army has for adults, and she put together a program for high school students. We then partnered with Kristen, and so we would be myself and Major Patricia McGinnis, and we partnered with Kristen and we wrote Task. So Task was just launched in January of 2018, so it's still really getting off the ground. And we've done a few trainings now in a few different locations in Canada, but we have definitely not been everywhere with it. TASK is an acronym for Teen Anger Management Skills, and it's a program for high school students. So the objectives for TASK are basically the same as the objectives for REDCap: to provide a needed and necessary life skill for high school students, to provide teens with conflict resolution skills, to encourage self-discipline and communication skills, and to provide ministry units with a connection to the community and a connection through ministry with their high school students. Task uses kind of like the cell phone imagery there, or you could even use like a game system remote. So the main points are helping our young people to pause and cool down, to move forward with the plan, rewind and review what you've learned. All right. And the what of Task. So Task is for high school students in grade 9 to 10. It's an eight-week program, but again, can be extended up to 10 if you feel that your students need to spend a bit more time on any of the skills that you've been teaching them. So similar to REDCap in structure, it includes active learning, small groups, and opportunity to role play and to put the skills that they are learning into practice. And the program, again, is led by trained facilitators. Task covers many of the same topics of REDCap, but it does dig deeper into our anger styles by looking at substyles. It provides teens with a variety of ways to pause and to cool down and to move forward with communication, to communicating their emotions. So a bit more in depth in what we do and those lessons than you would do with the young people who are part of REDCap. And Task, where can Task happen? It can happen anywhere that you find high school students. So it could be at your ministry unit, at the core or the family services. It could be, again, in a community center, boys and girls clubs locations. It could be in a housing complex. It could be at a school. Okay, so keeping your mind open to where is a good place for us to go. Do we need to go to the young people, or are we able to bring them in? Do we already have some coming in? And you know, if you're running an after-school program of any kind, if you're working even with teen volunteers, is this a skill that they would benefit from having in their own toolbox? So running the program for them is another idea. The how. So this program, again, is led by trained facilitators. Again, the training is organized and arranged through the youth department at your divisional headquarters. And this training for task and the training for Red Cap, they usually run over 2 business days or on a Friday evening and all day Saturday. So there's 2 different options that you can, I suppose, request of your divisional headquarters. What works best for you? Is it better for you to come for 2 days in the middle of the week or 2 days at the end of the week? Or is it easier for you and what happens in your ministry to come in for a Friday evening and an all-day Saturday and invest that time in your training to be a facilitator? And then again, the facilitators can, for task as well, can train and recruit their own team to work alongside them. With task, you probably could, if you wanted to, have a ministry team of 2 people, so the facilitator and 1 more person. You could, again, go to 3. That would be up to you, how you're setting up the program. Is there a meal involved? Sometimes just having a 3rd person to take care of the meal and the cleanup is really beneficial, to leave you and your other team member to run the program and to be connecting with the young people. Again, the task manual is only available to those who have been trained as facilitators. Team members can be recruited through your ministry unit, retired teachers, university students, especially those who are studying, social work, psychology, local youth workers, partnerships with the Y or Boys and Girls Clubs, and other ministry and service groups that you may know of. And with all of our programs, all workers have to complete the Salvation Army screening process. If they're helping to run a Salvation Army program, we want them to complete the Salvation Army screening process. So that is task now in a nutshell. Are there any questions for me about task, teen anger management skills? Okay, I'll move on. Some next steps that for you who might be thinking about any of these programs would be, if you're interested in Red Cap or Task, you would need to contact your DHQ and let them know that you are interested in these programs. If you've already done Red Cap and you're interested in Task, and you've completed the training, you're a certified facilitator, we do have what we call a Red Cap extension course, and it's a half-day course to train you to now be a task facilitator as well. So, so first of all, letting DHQ know you're interested in any of those programs, taking the training for those programs. And then for all 3 of the programs we've talked about today, Baby Song, Red Cap, and Task, gathering supplies that you might need. The program materials let you know what it is that you would need to have on hand to run the programs. But recruiting of participants, where can we find participants? So with any of the programs, we can start with families who are already coming in for assistance, families who make use of local food banks, new immigrants to Canada. A lot of the young people, they have a lot of emotion that they haven't been able to express or learn how to express in a healthy way, and these are tools that we can use to help them. New immigrant families who are looking to make connections to others, to make them feel welcome. Baby Song, you know, is great for that as well. Schools that participate in toy drives and food drives. You know, you might not run the program in those schools, but you might be able to take the opportunity to do a little bit of advertising of your programs through school newsletters, bulletin boards, or even parent nights at the school. You might be able to get permission to come in and set up a display about what you have to offer families in your community. Schools who participate in breakfast and lunch programs that you may be partnering with, again, taking the opportunity to let them and their families know about the other programs that you offer. The one thing I didn't mention is that these 3 programs are not faith-based programs. You can add faith to the programs, but they are not faith-based programs. They're programs to provide other connections and skills, as we mentioned in the goals and the objectives. Also, you can advertise these programs through kids who might come to Sunday school programs, after school clubs, and youth group members. So there's lots of different places to kind of make connections. Even, you know, a youth group making connections with the parents to advertise Baby Song. And maybe they don't have a baby at home, but maybe they know someone who's looking to make some connections to other parents of children of that same age range. And how do we get the word out? And again, social media has opened up the world to us, but there's still the old-fashioned flyers in the neighborhood, announcement ads in community centers, shopping, grocery stores. The grocery store I use has a huge bulletin board as you're exiting. It's right there before you get rid of your grocery cart. And lots of different things are advertised on that board. So there is opportunity to take advantage of those, what we might consider more old-fashioned ways of advertising. Information sent out through high school counseling offices, youth probation programs, boys and girls clubs, information tables at community barbecues or community events, Facebook pages connected to your ministry, Instagram accounts, again, connected to your websites, church bulletin announcements. Even if Family Services is going to host and run the program, you can advertise through the church bulletins. Advertisements at your own offices, you know, creating flyers or brochures to let people know that these are other programs that are available, and when are you going to be running them? What is the commitment of number of weeks that, you know, you're asking them to be a part of the program? Sharing through those flyers, what are some of the benefits to families, to young people themselves if they participate in the program? Through other programs that you offer. So if you run like a take a break program for moms, Messy Church, English as a second language, and so on, what are some of the programs that you're currently running that you can share this information with? Presentations at social services and Catholic social services or other service groups who can also promote your programs with their clients, and then encouraging word of mouth after you've run the program once through. All right, are there any questions on next steps that you might have for me? I have here I asked a few people who've been running the program to share kind of the benefit or how of Baby Song, Red Cap, and Task in their community. So for Baby Song, someone has shared, we began our first Baby Song in September 2016. Since then, we've run the program for 8 sessions. We've seen a community develop of moms and tots within the program that come regularly, as well as bonding together through their times together. They have become our recruiters as they have talked to their friends and brought in new additions to the group. We've had opportunity to have deeper and more meaningful conversations as they've become more open and secure. As a community outreach, this has been one of our most successful ventures. Already we have inquiries as to when our next session starts. And so they are planning another session for the fall coming up.
We had a question from Linda just asking about the age group of Baby Song, 0 to 3.
So Baby Song, it's babes in arms up to toddlers, so probably 3 years old. I'm not sure how it is across the whole country. Here in Ontario, at the age of 3.5, young people are going off to junior kindergarten. So it's for under that age group. And so with babies, it's helping moms bond with their babies using music. With 2 and 3-year-olds, it's still creating that bond between the parent and the child, but it's helping develop those skills a little bit more that I mentioned at the beginning. So that's why there's a little bit of age. And so you could either open the program up for 0 to 3, or you may decide, I would like to start with 2 3-year-olds and their parents, and then maybe branch out and see how it goes. So there's that openness for you to use and experiment with what you're most comfortable with, to give it a try and then to grow it from there. Okay. For Red Cap, this is a comment we've gotten back. We ran our first session of Red Cap in October 2016, and since then we've run 10 sessions. We've done 8 of them in the core building, 1 at our local organization that works with developmentally challenged, and the other they ran in a school. We've had nothing but positive feedback on the program, and in fact we have 2 children who've gone through it twice, not because of the lack of learning, but because of the camaraderie and support they've received through Red Cap. Parents have commented more than once on the difference the program makes in coping skills and behavior outcomes. It's so well received that we have a waiting list for the next session, and parents of teens are already asking for tasks. So they're a group who have been contacting their DHQ to let them know that they're ready to take the task training, because they already have a base of people who are interested in the program. And for task, in this session of task, and this is their first time running it, we had 9 participants, mostly around ages 12 to 13. So they were that younger grade 9 group. Some of the participants were there because their parents wanted them to learn better strategies to deal with their anger. Others were using it as a means to divert criminal charges. Excuse me. 2 young ladies came because their mom thought it would be a good place to talk about their feelings, since they don't do much of that at home. And for whatever reasons they came, it seems like all of the participants learned a bit more about the feeling of anger, a bit more about themselves, i.e. their anger styles, what anger feels like in their bodies, etc. And we've had a chance to apply what they've been learning to a particular situation in their life. So they've been giving them opportunity to practice it. On one of the days last month, one of the participants had just been suspended from school for an inappropriate behavior and was able to talk about what happened and process it while at task. The participants enjoyed the meals and conversations that we shared together, and as did we, the facilitators. This was a group who partnered with Boys and Girls Clubs. So they are one of the groups who, that's where they did some of their recruiting. So some of their kids were through Boys and Girls Clubs. A couple of them were partnerships with, what did I say? I think it was the correctional office, and then others were from schools. So they also sent me some comments from the students, which I thought was great to hear. Task was fun because we mostly got along. Task went well because the leaders were patient. I enjoyed task because the food and prizes kept me interested. That's a good, honest answer. I found it helpful to know my anger style. I also found it helpful to know that another emotion always precedes anger. And I found it helpful to know the steps to calm down and pause, like how I can allow distractions when I'm really angry, and how when I move forward, I need to take other people's perspectives. So I thought those were great, great feedback comments from young people. And those were younger young people. Those were those grade 9 students. So that was really, I found it helpful to hear that. And so hopefully that gives some encouragement to you if you're thinking about these programs. All three are great programs. As I said, Baby Song is available as a free download. You can check that out as soon as we're done this, or you can check it out while we've been talking about it. Task and REDCap, though, do require training, and so a little bit more thought needs to be put into that, and contacting with your DHQ. It could be that maybe there's a group of community and family services workers in a certain area you are interested in this program. If you want to let DHQ know you're interested and bring your DHQ and myself into the conversation between, that group, we can probably plan something, especially, if it's during the week. I'm happy to come during the week. I'm happy to come on a Friday evening and a Saturday as well. And Major Pat McGinnis, who's also one of our trainers, if she's able to join me, we'd like to do that as well, partner with you. So that's a lot of information in a very short period of time. If there's questions, if you need clarification, feel free to ask. I don't know, Peter, I'm not seeing the chat, so if there's something that's showing up.
Sorry. So I've opened up the people can ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got a couple here.
Okay.
Where has tasks typically happened? Schools, etc.
Oh, well, I would say so far it's happened, because it's still new, so with either young people who are there, or like the one I read today, that is a partnership between the ministry unit and Boys and Girls Club. So it, I think, was running in the school because the Boys and Girls Club was going into a school. But it could have also run out of their facility. And I think that's something they're considering for another time round. So some have done it depending on where the need and the interest has been in different locations.
Let's see what I've done there. Sorry, I apologize. I'm playing around.
That's good.
Is that up?
Yeah, I'm seeing, this is the ministry catalog.
Yes.
So what you're seeing at the top of that page, the very top Baby Song is the original Baby Song, which is a printed book with a CD in the back of it. There's a couple copies of that left, if that's the way you like to go. The next one down is the new updated version, which is a PDF. It's actually a zipped file with the PDF. And that's the one that has the new social media advertising that you can use. We've updated in it the welcome cards and the postcards and things like that. And as you'll see, there's lots of other things there that you can be used. First Steps is also available. If you're running any Moms and Tots programs, and moms would like to have a Thanksgiving service for their children, young children, doesn't have to be an infant. Those resources are there to help you with that. And the handbook and the brochure give you ideas on making connections with mostly new parents.
The other, so let me scroll back up here and
go to children.
There you go.
So REDCap is in there. We don't sell the binder through this catalog, but there are baseball caps that we've had printed, and we basically sell them at cost. Currently they're $6.50, but I'm due for a new print, so I don't know if the price will go up or not. So if you run the REDCap program, some people, as part of the graduation, they give the kids a baseball cap and a certificate as part of their recognition for completing the program. We don't have anything physical to give the young people who go through the task program. We had debated on cell phone cases, but to try to keep up with the size and shape of everyone's smartphones, it's just too much. So there are certificates that can be given out to the young people who graduate from TASC. Is there any other questions on the chat, Peter?
Let me see if we can chat. Yeah. Does the download include the music, or is a CD available?
No, there's no music included, just the songbook, which is the lyrics. A lot of them are very common songs that had no copyright on them, but you can, in the book, we give you websites that you can go to for downloading music to your phone, or you might still even be able to purchase some of the CDs, but mostly the music now that's suggested is the same music we've suggested in the past, but it's available as downloads.
As you can see, the saministrycatalog.ca is on the top of that screen. I've sent that all to you during the chat, as well as the link to the Salvationist Core Ministries website for family services. And so you can see that our page today has community gardens, but you'll see the webinar series, CFS workshops, link to feed, number of resources in here, as well as our important whosoever focus that we do. And so that was sent to you in the chat as well. Following this recording, we will have Valerie's PowerPoint and this recording on this CFS webinar series. So that'll take a day or two to get up there, but that's where you'll find it, plus other resources. As Val was talking, I was just reminded of looking at these programs from a family services. Often we think of Baby Song and Red Cap, even TASC possibly as a core program, but the idea today is really look at it as an opportunity for outreach in your community, as Val was speaking. The idea of connecting with schools. A number of our units do snacks or meal programs with local schools. Hopefully you're developing relationships in there with staff, principals, vice principals, and to be able to come alongside as you build those relationships and let them know of these opportunities for these types of programs to support. With the government cutbacks that are happening right now, I think schools are going to be excited to hear about programming dealing with anger that's not faith-based. So I want to encourage you to think about how you build those relationships. In my community, we had a group where all the principals, vice principals, and the social workers, as well as children's aid, met monthly. And I was invited to that and sat with them. And so if you are able to find yourself on those tables and providing these types of supports, that's where we actually influence the mission of the Salvation Army to be transformational in our community. As Val was talking, I was also reminded of service clubs, things like the Kiwanis that we worked with in Aurelia, have a strong desire to work with children. And so if you have a Kiwanis club or a Lions club in your community, and there are people who support your Christmas campaign, for example, connect with them, let them know of the programs that you have available through your family services beyond Christmas. As she was chatting, I was reminded of, I think it was Simcoe or Dunnville I was visiting a couple of years ago, and they talked about being invited to a community fair. And they set up a table, but they didn't have any time to be there. So they put out the flyers for Red Cap and just on their table, and out of that, people picked them up. And they were able to offer a Red Cap class after that because there was such interest from the community. And it was just a simple community fair. As Val was talking, she mentioned youth probation, and the lights went off in my head. How many of us in family services do provide opportunity for youth probation to work off their hours? I had great relationships with our local youth probation officers and with our local police. So think about the opportunities as you minister and provide opportunities for youth to work off their hours, to connect with them and share that. I was thinking about the food bank groups that we sit on as well. Often they're interfaith. A lot of food banks are run by local churches. And if you are meeting with them on a regular basis, this might be an opportunity for you to connect with them and together offer this in your community. The last one I had thought of just as Val was talking was day camps. I don't know if many of you offer a day camp. through your family services. One of my units did, and I was just thinking as she was sharing about as we minister not only to children but also use our teens. What if during that week you were able to spend an hour or two a day picking up some of the parts of REDCap or Task and being able to use that? If you had a day camp and the kids went off to day camp and the moms and tots stayed behind, you could offer a baby song. And so looking at it as opportunities to also feather or add to the ministry you're already doing. So the question I have for Valerie as well right now are costs. What are we looking at for some of these costs for these programs? As we think about budgets and family services.
Well, that's always a good question. And, it always depends on how big you want to go. I'm just looking because I know in Baby Song, we did give you a suggested budget. So, Baby Song, we recommend, those mats that kind of link together. You can buy them at Walmart. Like, that's an investment, but once you purchase them, you should be able to keep them for a while. So I would say to get going, you're probably going to need a few $100s. So if you're going to pay to do advertising, you could spend up to $250 maybe. Snacks and drinks over an 8-week program can, if you're having to purchase them all, again, we've suggested almost $300. Mats, materials. So if you were buying music books and CDs, we suggested $50. With downloads, it's cheaper. So a little less expense to have that on download. So you would have your mobile device and a speaker. So you'd want to maybe invest in a speaker. Now the thing is, when my middle daughter was, I guess, 3, it wasn't a Baby Song program, but at the community center there was a program, and the woman just sang, and we just sang with her. There was no music. There was she had little rhythm instruments that she passed out for the kids to play with. So. Not a big investment in the music itself, but maybe an investment in rhythm instruments to have for the kids to use. And you could spend a couple $100s on rhythm instruments. But again, once you run the program once and have invested, you now have these materials that you can carry forward to the next time that you run them. So I think it was in that write-up, I think they were on their 10th session. So, sure, things are going to need to be updated and refreshed. They get broken, damaged. But so we've said, and initially an output of $950. If you have 15 families paying $40, that would be $600. So the difference being a $350 expense that would need to be covered. So with REDCap and Task, we've suggested partnering with community businesses, Subway, a Pizza Hut, Pizza, McDonald's, maybe even a local restaurant to provide maybe a different, more healthy food. But partnering with those kind of businesses to supply the food, whether it's a full meal or a snack at the beginning of the program. So if you're not able to do that, I think you need to feed the kids, especially if you're running it after school or even in the evening. You have no idea whether they're coming with a full stomach or an empty, so why not give them something to eat to get them all on the same energy level with you. And while eating, it's a chance for directed and guided conversations and getting to know them, finding out examples of situations where they've lost their temper during the week and using them as part of the role play. So that's an expense. There are a few items that you may want to purchase, but they're minimal for some of the activities. There are some activity sheets, so the photocopying of that could require a little bit of expense, but again, it's not like photocopying you need to take out to a printer. It's copying you can do in-house. What I would recommend, though, for both Task and REDCap is the stoplight and the cell phone, which have our main points on them. The artwork is included in the manuals, is that you take them somewhere and get them printed on a larger poster size if possible, or even 11 by 17, and get them laminated. So that could be a little bit of an investment, but again, it's not an 18 by 24 poster is a bigger investment, but Again, the lamination, it sets you up to be able to use it multiple times. The facilitator manual is $50. So the division would probably charge you for that. The division may charge a nominal fee for you to come and be a part of the training because we do our meals together when we're at the training. So there could be that. If you have to travel to another community for the training, you may need to stay overnight for one night or maybe two, depending on your distance. So that there's that investment as well.
Abby has a question for
Yes.
you. Does REDCap provide follow-up materials for parents at home to reinforce the teaching?
Yes, both programs do. They have, in REDCap, there's a little sheet that you can print and send home to the parents for them to sign off. It's created also for their homeroom teacher to sign it as well, to say, this is what we've learned today. It might be that there's maybe a cool down method that the young person wants to try. So they've written that on their parent sheet so that the parent and maybe the teacher. So if you're using this not with a school, you can take that information and adapt it, or you can take it and send it out as an email as well. But if the young person has chosen something, be sure to include that in the email to that parent. So it might mean that instead of sending a blanket email to all the parents, you may have to do individual parent emails for the programs. But I think in Task, the email it's a generic email for each week. But again, if you can personalize it and send it to each family, I think that's a great way to build connections with the parents. Because you are going to have parents whose kids are learning things that the parents have never learned. And we have a lot of parents who've never maybe learned that there are other emotions that are underneath their anger and how to deal with them, how to recognize them, how to name them even. And so hopefully by teaching the students, we're also going to be helping the parent and the family.
Any other questions for Val? I see it's just a little after 1. I'll unmute you all in case there's any comments, any suggestions, any feedback. Here we go. Everyone's open. Anything? All right. Well, with that, I got a chat. Hold on. There's one. To clarify, ballpark figure for starting REDCap from our friends in Foothills, Alberta.
Let me see if I give a budget. Okay, we gave a budget of $1,480. It's kind of an odd number, but we suggested $600 for food, $800 for equipment. That would be photocopying everything. If you're going to do any craft type activities with the REDCap kids, if there's any sports equipment that you don't have or the facility you're using doesn't have. I use rubber chickens, and that's part of, it's built into the REDCap program, so you might need to invest in some rubber chickens. We recommend for these programs that the staff wear the logo. So there might be the expense of having some t-shirts or golf shirts made up with the logo, and the artwork is included in the program material for that. Printing and laminating, promotional materials. So if you're advertising, again, that would take a little bit of an investment. And in these programs, we have PAL prizes, and which is participation and learning. And it might be that you want to invest in small prizes, kind of between dollar store and small toys or gifts, or $5 gift cards to McDonald's or something like that. So if you don't have the sponsorship to do that, you may need to invest a little bit of money in purchasing prizes, rewards for the young people. You may choose not to do a reward system. You may, the reward is a certificate, or, everyone congratulates you and says something, that they've noticed you've done well this week. So there are options there. So I guess, an output of 1,000 to start with. And again, a lot of the stuff is reusable except for the photocopying. And the food.
And that should be easy for most of us. We get food somewhere around our building.
Mm-hmm.
we're good partners.
Yeah.
Well, Val, I want to thank you for
Thank you.
sitting in on this today. Valerie, how can people get a hold of you if they have any questions?
You can write me at valerie_pavey@can.salvationarmy.org.
And that's a great way to get in contact and follow up with Val. And she is a trainer, so she has traveled across the territory. So if you have any questions or would like to do some community or